between two people is a sadaqah. So in this hadith, he mentions a bunch of things that are sadaqah. So he says, the first thing he says, settling a dispute between two people is a sadaqah. And then he says, helping a man to get onto his beast or to load things onto his beast, to his animal, is a sadaqah. And then he says, a good word is a sadaqah. Every step taken towards prayer is sadaqah. And removing something harmful from the road is sadaqah. And so, there's a modern day analog to each one of these. So settling a dispute between people, so mediating, reconciling between people is a very praiseworthy act. In fact, I think there's a section that comes up specifically about that. But nonetheless, here it is mentioned that reconciling between two people fairly is a sadaqah. Then he says helping a man get on his beast or to load things onto the beast. So, our example would be getting into the car. Somebody, there's like an older person or somebody who needs help getting to the car, out of the car, getting their groceries into the car, getting them out of the car into their home, for example. So, helping somebody do this is a sadaqah. He said every step taken towards the prayer is sadaqah. Removing something harmful from the road is sadaqah. And then he says that from the Islamic point of view, all man's deeds are acts of worship, so long as he always has the intention of doing them for the sake of Allah and earning His pleasure. And so he mentions several narrations, many of them in Bukhari and Muslim, about the good deed being sadaqah, good word being sadaqah, and then talking about also the mentioning again and again the point about removing something harmful from the road. And there are actually several narrations of that. What does that tell you? Removing something from the road, or moving something out of the way, removing it and getting people help. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, I have seen a man who was enjoying the luxuries of paradise. I was particularly excited to see this version. He says, I've never read this particular version or heard of it before, and this is in Sahih Muslim. He says, I have seen a man who was enjoying the luxuries of paradise because he removed a tree from the side of the road that was harming the Muslims. Right? And so there's several different variations of this hadith, of removing some harmful object, or removing a tree or a branch or something out of the way. Why is that so? What is significant about that? Removing something out of safety. Okay, good. So, making it safe. What else? Yeah, so Muslim can do good deeds anywhere, right? Anywhere, no matter where you are. And somebody, might not even see you. You might be in the middle of the road, right? As long as the road is safe for you to pull over and move the tree out of the way, you should do it. Somebody else? Volunteering in the community. Very good. What else? Look, this is just my reflection. Yes, brother? Yeah, so, in fact, yeah, so I'll mention that. Yeah, yes, what were you going to say? Small things can be very rewarding, yes. Moise? Yeah, very good. And what else? Somebody else here? You. Protecting somebody from harm. Just like this brother said, Moise said, and is that, thinking about other people. Like when I read this and I read so many different narrations, thinking about other people. Like this is the message. It's not so much, tree or branch or, whatever. It's the thinking about other people. Right? Wanting, you're like, somebody's going to get hurt from this. It's not so much how harmful it is, how bad it is it going to be a major injury, minor injury? No, it's like you're thinking about other people. And this is, something that I try to instill in my children, and I try to implement also, is the fikr, is the concern for the ummah. Like always think about the ummah. Right? Even small thing. You wake up in the morning and you brush your teeth, think about the ummah. Say, I'm doing this for the ummah. right? And you say, well, what's the big deal? It's like, you're gonna have a stinky breath or what? Like, it's not about the breath. This is going to cause you a complication that you're holding the ummah back in some way. If you're not helping the ummah has to help you. Right? So if you get unhealthy, you are a burden on the ummah. Right? So whenever you can, and I think all of the gist of this section, reading there are actually several ahadith that he mentioned, and reading them all, the feeling that I got was like, it's not so much the actual, act of moving it, it's the concern. It's the concern that someone's going to get hurt. And as the brother said, wanting for your brother what you want for yourself, loving for your brother what you love for yourself. And so, that is what the theme that kind of came out of this and stuck out for me. And then he mentions that Imam Ahmad, he narrated the Prophet ﷺ, he stood up before some people who were seated and said, he says, shall I tell you of the best of you and the worst of you? And then the people were silent. So he repeated it. Shall I tell you the best of you and the worst of you? And people were silent. And so he repeated it again, repeated it 3 times. And one of the men, he says, yes, Ya Rasulullah. And he says, the best of you is the one from whom good deeds are expected and from whose evil deeds people are safe. In other words, you expect from them good and people are safe from them. Those are the best kinds of people. And so if you don't understand that, you'll understand when you hear the other part. It says, the worst of you is the one from whom good deeds are expected, but from whose evil deeds people are not safe. Those are the worst kind. It's like, when somebody does something to you, right? You're like, oh, if it was, a strange person and did this to me, I'll be okay. But it was my family member. It was my friend. It was my best friend. It was, and you. So he says, the best of you, you're expected to do good and you do good. The worst of you, you're expected to do good, but you end up not doing it. Right? And you end up harming people. And people are not safe from your actions. It's expected. So this is why, again, thinking about the big picture, right? The fikr, the concern for the ummah, the concern for other people. And so, and lastly, he mentions another hadith from Bukhari and Muslim, in which he says, a Muslim is the brother of another Muslim. He does not oppress him or forsake him when he is oppressed. Whoever helps his brother, Allah will help him. Whoever relieves a Muslim from his distress, Allah will relieve him of some of his distress on the day of resurrection. Whoever covers the faults of a Muslim, Allah will cover him on the day of resurrection. And so, again, going back to, not harming other people, not only physically, you see a physical harm, you can remove that. You should remove that, right? But also taking into account the verbal harms that we can do. Somebody's being harmed. Somebody's fault is being shared. It's like, oh, this brother, he does this. He sells alcohol. Somebody's pointing out his faults. Defend his honor behind his back. So keeping him safe and your ummah and your other members of the ummah safe from people and their evil when they are not around. So I think that is the end of that section. But I think the emphasis on all of these, there are many other hadith that I didn't mention just to keep it short, but again, thinking about, how can we help? How can we be a help? But even if you can't be a help, how can you not be a hindrance? How can you not be some sort of obstacle for other people? So always thinking about the big picture, thinking about the ummah, and with that, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So if they don't take it, then let me know, inshallah. So ask Hamza's versus no. But if he doesn't, then let me know. One o. And his name is Hamza. He's usually in.
Can I get your number?
Yeah. 202. Yeah, text me inshallah.
Thank you very much.
boats, like military boats, with bombs inside. Little bombs. And subhanAllah, he was like, don't wear that stuff. And subhanAllah, someone listened to it. When he didn't hear even the word. I was like, subhanAllah, like disbelieving, we were talking about it. He said something like, disbelievers live in trust. Live in trust, especially inside of the Quran. Nas, live in trust. Even sometimes the Rijal and other stuff, subhanAllah, like, لا يدون كفرا they may trick you, especially the Jews. SubhanAllah. I know, like, subhanAllah, he goes to China. SubhanAllah, they always try to trick him. He always puts some community that he's Hindi to. ينتقلوا له.
That's everybody.
Always try to
Also
trick him.
sometimes you know, like features in my promote.
ولكن أكثر في dispute.
I haven't really done business. You find that
Moroccans now, Moroccans now, subhanAllah.
They might
No.
fool me.
But that's only after colonization. Wallah, it wasn't like Muslims used to be there. Even Malaysia and Indonesia, all these places, we didn't have a war, we didn't have full like Muslim to Japanese.
So be careful.
They were very
So be careful if you
very
want, if you're planning to
they
go
were
Morocco
very nice.
for some time.
And people here were like, these guys are different from any other trade man that comes here. They're like, okay, we need to ask them why they are like this, why they don't cheat. Whenever they talk this way. When they promise, they don't like uphold it. SubhanAllah. They were like, this is Islam. That's why